Hi, welcome to my Flash News briefing today. Today I'm going to look at using something called OpenStreetMap and showing you how we can get that into a 3D program like Blender to edit it. Here's one I've done already. So although the OpenStreetMap is flat here, we can get that data and import it into Blender. And this will help us with our architectural kind of visualization work if we want real images of real places, real 3D scenes of real places very quickly, or like myself, if you're making an imaginary city and you want kind of city blocks like this that look random in a good way rather than spending time modeling them up. It's a good way. I showed you how to use, in another video I showed you how to use medieval map generator to make imaginary cities, but this is actually getting real world data, which is useful a lot of the time. So we've got London. There's a plugin you need to install for Blender. Other 3D programs should have similar things, I guess. We've got the documentation. I'll include the links in the YouTube video. So we've got all of this. There's a basic version for just $5.90, and that will get you all the 3D data import. There's another version that's more expensive that you can import textures and lots of things like that. So it's worth looking at both and see what you want. I really just want the basic ones because I want to use the data more for imaginary cities. So I want the blocks just to be blocks, as it were, and just edit it from there. Let's go to New York. That'll be fun. Yeah, so I've done some New York import previously and it looked pretty cool. So let's go down to the financial district. I'm probably not going to use this in a final scene, but you know, we all know what New York looks like. Well, most of us do. So I'm going to, here on opensourcestreetsmap.org, I'm going to manually select an area. If you're selecting a place with a lot of big buildings and lots of things going on like New York, don't select too much because it can crash when you import it into Blender. So I've got that here and I'm going to press exports, and I've just remembered it's giving me problems on the internet browser, so I'm going to go to Google Chrome and then I'm going to go back to New York. Sorry about that. I don't know why it's not downloading in Google Chrome today. So I'm going to go to New York. Yeah. Get the end of the islands. Again, we can either select this, we can go to exports, and usually manually select is the best option. I'll just get it on the very edge of New York there. Hang on, that's still quite a large area. I don't want to crash my scene. Okay, so there you go, and then I'm gonna go and press export, and then it's downloading there. I'll open it up in the downloads folder, and for convenience I'll just take it to desktop and then I'll paste that on desktop. So that's called Map3 OSM. So now with the Blender add-on, there's quite a bit of instructions how to install it. It's a little bit complicated, but once you've done it, it's okay. I'll leave that to the instructions there. This isn't really a how-to video, it's more showing you the potentials of what we can do with the plugin. So this is Blender 2.80. Unfortunately, at the moment, on the 5th of January 2019, it's not working in 2.80. It's not installing. So I've got the previous version 2.79. Yeah, 2.79. It's working on this. So once it's installed, it's got the OSM tab there. So just click on the OSM tab. I'll delete this cube and the scene. What I'm going to do is just get the scene here, save it, and then we can go right into Blender 2.80 and mess around with all the goodies like Eevee and shaders and stuff. So it's all set up here. It's a bit tricky. We've got imports. We have to go to import file. Hang on. If you get this wrong, it can mess up. Import from file, and then we get the file up here, and I'm going to go to the one we saved on the desktop, which is map 3 OSM. I'm going to click accept, so that's all ready to come in. All we need to do is press import. We can have different options: import buildings, lakes, water, forest, woods, scrub, roads and paths. So I'm going to delete everything except for roads and paths and buildings and see what happens. So let's click the button, and hopefully it's not going to crash because it's New York and it's big data. Import. Okay, it's doing something. Okay, all right. Wow. So see what I mean? Amazing. From, oh wow, it's the Freedom Tower. And you can see all the roads here. And as you can see, just merely from this piece of data, amazing, isn't it? This data that has the data of the building heights and the streets, it imports it into a 3D program as 3D data. Yeah. Bit of scaling issue there. Okay. Right, so now we've imported that. I'm going to do a scene today where I want some buildings in the background, so they're going to be way off in the background, and the main object's going to be in the foreground. So I'm not going to want, for example, if I was to work on this, I wouldn't want to have, you know, landmarks, because it's an imaginary piece I'm working on. So I delete parts of the building blocks, so it wouldn't look like, you know, it wouldn't look like New York. And then I could do a lot of other things as well. So I could, then I could mirror this, do lots of things to it until it looked like a pleasing shape. Another tip when you've got a load of buildings, I like to just select the whole lot on Z. You could make it, you know, immediately that makes the skyline look a bit different as well. You can make it smaller, so it looks more like an old European or ancient town, or you can make it bigger to make it ridiculously large. But then again, that would look stupid if it was there. But you know, something like that looks quite good in a way. So let's take that back down to a sort of kind of relatively real scale. I'm going to save this as, again, on the desktop as NYC, save blend file. Then I'm going to come into the Blender 2.80, where we can do all the cool stuff. So I'm going to open up the scene. Open, desktop, NYC, so NYC is open. And I'm going to go to the render settings, and we're on Eevee already. And I'm going to take it to shading. And as we can see, the light in the scene is not a sunlight. So it's just points. And it's down there. That's quite a nice effect, though. You could have a scene where it's just lighting up one area. GZ, take it up. Select the light icon on the tab, and let's go to sun. RZ or RZ, and we can position the light fall like that. RR, you know, we can make the light more extreme. If it's low in the sky like that, you know, it's kind of a sunset, so we can go and change the color a little bit if we wanted to. Okay, we can mess around with we can probably, if you're going to make a scene, it's probably best to delete all these materials because there's loads in the scene now. That's what I found the other day. There's you know, there's hundreds, so you need to just blitz all that out and then add your own materials, I guess, if you want. But it's actually quite detailed in a kind of CAD material way as well. You could also add do. This isn't how to add wireframe. It's on your render, but that would look awesome if you had a render with wireframes like that. Kind of a bit sort of late 80s retro. Whoops. And add a monkey. Retro graphics. Retro style. Retro wave. Okay, so GZ, and then look at that. You could have a flood, a bit like one of these disaster films. All right, so there's lots of potential there, or it could even be a glacial end of the world scene, and you could make the grid, give the grid more mesh by subdividing, then paint, snow drifts or even sand. It could be sand, and you could set up particle systems. You could work in Substance Designer as well, Substance Painter, to get some realistic textures. So that's it. Let's have a look. Let's just do quickly a bloom effect. Always a bit of cheesy bloom is good. Look at that. Wow. And we can add things like not lens flare. That's very, very old. It shows how long I've been using 3D graphics. Well, you can still use lens flare if you want. You can use things like depth of fields. Screen space reflections, loads of stuff we can mess around with. Everything here. Ambient occlusion. Be careful with ambient occlusion on an object this big, on a scene this big. But yeah, there you go. That's looking nice. It's getting a bit of crank it right up. Immediately that looks nice, very nice. So as I say, I'm gonna mess around, try and find some buildings. Just take that bloom off, actually take it down a bit. Probably not going to use New York, because the scene I'm making is kind of in the future, but New York is basically too New Yorky. I think even if you haven't been there, everyone knows this is pretty much New York. Okay, so, and look at that. Imagine if you were doing a detailed kind of rooftop scene, and you could blur that out, the background with some nice quick textures, and then really detail on the scene there. Yeah, it's getting off track. But yeah, so I'm going to choose a sort of a more generic city tower block, city, as said. Remember, you can scale it up, you can mess around with weird stuff like that. Like a mega sort of shape, architectural shapes. That's quite interesting already. Okay, we can even take the view up. That's interesting. Look at that. Very architectonic kind of stuff going on. And we've taken it beyond just New York or whatever city we've taken. So remember, just to recap, we've got OpenStreetMap. Okay. We use the add-on that I'll put in the links from GitHub for Blender, or you find an equivalent add-on, and you also use OpenStreetMap to capture the area. So thanks very much. Tune in. I try to do these Cities of Imagination fairly regularly, and I'm also going to put some 3zuni.com stuff from my sci-fi universe on YouTube soon as well. So thanks very much. Remember to subscribe to this channel and check me out on Twitter and Twitter, jamesableart.com, and Instagram at jamesableart. And if you're on Flash Briefing, if you have Alexa's Flash Briefings, check out my James Ableart Flash Briefings there. I'll add a link in the description. It's my daily art inspiration and ideas and creativity. Thank you very much for tuning in, and speak to you soon. Bye-bye.